Hello, and welcome to another episode of TacoBytes, your daily bite of Degen, episode number 342. This is going to be a Zen midweek in review. Venom and Zeely, as a Venom Network testnet really starts to take off. How do you airdrop hunt? Some of the stuff we're going to be covering. But as we wanted to go with this being a Zen week in review, we also sort of wanted to lay out sort of a history of Zen in a way, so to speak. There's been a lot of documents, the great documents that have been created that sort of show the entire Zen ecosystem, but we sort of wanted to just sort of redo that from the ground up, as this is sort of our first concurrent space, going with what I refer to as Sunday services of Zen Week in Review on Sundays, held by Simple Waters and Clout. Because there's so much that goes on in the Zen ecosystem, being on top of it, it is a daily changing thing. And so we learn and see new things. And I will be honest, half the time there's 1,000 things going on that I don't even know about. And so keeping up with the Zenians, the great people that are able to distribute compute power between people, to update on things that are coming out, things that are building up, or what they've seen in the ecosystem. So far, with Monday, since Week in Review, Monday was Jack Levin's birthday. Jack, people put him as the founder of Zen. I don't think he's actually sort of put himself as founder, creator, or code writer. And I feel that there's some strategic reasons he did that. And I'll get into those a little later at a different time. But wanted to just sort of start with the history of Zen. So for those that are joining us on video, shout out to everyone joining us across YouTube, Twitch, other YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Xenon, and Twitter. So just want to shout out. And if you have any comments across any of those, please put them in the comments. And if you're on stage at Twitter, please put a hand up to come on up, because one of the cool things about Zen is that this is something for everyone. And so everyone has a voice, because I know what it's like, to be able to have a chance to say what you want. So really going to sort of touch on that a lot this week as well, as we get into the rundown for episode 365, which really isn't too much, too far away, 23 episodes away, 23 days. But at the same time, what's going to change at 365? Nothing. We're just going to be prepping for episode 366. But so that is what we're going to be doing. So we're going to keep that going. So those that are joining us on screen, we pulled up our classic favorite spreadsheet. As you know, we love working in Excel. So we are going to sort of talk about what Zen has done and Zen comes out. So one of the things that Zen really first pushed was coming out on multiple chains. And we've seen that both on ETH, Matic, Evmos, Moonbeam, Doge Chain, EVM, and the EVMOS EVM chain as well, because EVMOS is also a Cosmos chain as well, part of the Cosmos ecosystem. So technically, someone could bridge their Zen over into Evmos on Cosmos if they so wanted to. And then we have also ETHPOW. We have BSC. We have FTM. And let's see, what were the other main chains off the top of my head? ETHmatic, Moonbeam, Doge, ETHPOW, BSC, Phantom. Oh man. Oh, AVAX, Avalanche. And I know I'm missing one off the top of my head, so I'm gonna cheat. The greatest, easiest place to cheat from in this case would be Zen.network. Zen.network is sort of the home base page where you can start everything. That's right. OKC. And then after OKC, we did see DevNet come out, but also this is a test net, but what was not a test net was also Pulse Chain. So now with test nets, we have both X1 DevNet and X1 Fastnet. And with some really cool stuff with DevNet and Fastnet, we are actually doing node operating, and the community is building out node operators and validators on something as simple as and easy as a Raspberry Pi. So like a device like this. So really cool to see the community come together. Really cool to see the techno nerds, I guess you could say, building out clean, fresh documentation on how to set it up, how to one of the processes that's even being worked on is setting up a cell phone. So really cool stuff there going on. So why do these chains matter? Different ways of being able to collect different data points and settlements. Jack hasn't done any layer twos per se. We can all sort of say, and so they're all L1s in their own right. Matic being the closest to being an L2. And so like Optimism, Arbitrum, Gnosis, BitGet, Palm, all of those chains were pushed aside, more because that they still created energy on ETH as the settlement layers, and these are all chains that work not monolithically, but in the aspect that they all work and they settle and execute on their own layer, so they don't do work on other chains. And so that sort of keeps that economic energy in-house. Now, why is that important? Because Zen, the ideas behind Zen is that it is sort of goes back and represents Bitcoin. The original thoughts and process and ideas behind Bitcoin being permissionless, being trustless, and what has been deemed as the first principles of crypto, and so part of the aspects within that are doing things without other people's permission and being able to know that it's going to happen and it's censorship resistant. So not reliant on third parties to make it happen, or relying on third parties for permission for it to happen. And so those pull into the aspects of trustless and permissionless. So Zen is a meeting that it is fair that anyone that has access to the internet, or just anyone anyone can access the network. And so it is not a bought or sold token per se. Is it traded? Yes, it is traded on many platforms, but it is not traded in the aspect of that there wasn't an allocation set aside and these tokens are for sale at this price. All tokens that are in existence came about the same exact way. No pre-mine, no tokens were created first and then everyone else had to go do the work. but they were all came about by doing two actions. And this comes to the idea of proof of participation. Creating a record on chain stating how long you want to work / wait for, and then on that date for how many days you wish to wait, claiming or minting into existence. So another broadcast. So you're only paying gas fees for block transference. So communicating with the block costs something. So that is the gas fee that you're paying, a broadcast fee, so to speak, because you're asking for an on-chain command to happen. You're not actually buying any object. You're not paying for anything per se. You're starting a notation and you are ending a notation, which then mints that notation into existence in the form of the Zen token. So as soon as Zen sort of came out, one of the big things that there, was found fairly quickly was that if you had one wallet that was working for you, you couldn't work again with that wallet. So what people then started to do was commandeer and manage a ton of wallets. So people would have different Google books, different Chromebooks and profiles, different MetaMasks, working with a ton of different wallets that had started this process called working or mining. Neither one were really happening. It was more just a wait. You put in a notation that you're willing to wait for X amount of days, and on that X amount of days, claim / mint those tokens into existence. So real quickly, one of the first, because a couple devs had it, the ability on the back end, one of the things that quickly came into effect was CoinTools. CoinTools used the account abstraction, wallet abstraction for one wallet, where one MetaMask wallet could manage a ton of different virtual wallets, but wallets managed on chain. And so we're starting to see, what's really hilarious is we're starting to see a lot of different ways of using that protocol, that EIP. This is one of the easiest ways, is to see a wallet create and manage another wallet. And so CoinTools did it within smart contracts to where it was following Zen, doing Zen's process, but it was then also at the same time having one wallet being able to control many wallets at once without having to log in, worry about seed phrases, anything along that line. So in a way, you could sort of say it was a term used called flash loan, where in one transaction, a command is created, creates something, distributes value, and then closes. And so that's what was sort of happening here. So CoinTools was one of the first tool pieces that came out. We then started to see, and we also saw ZenPub, ZenMon, and a few others start to come out as well. But this was more along the line of getting into mining, minting Zen, and a token creation. So we'll sort of designate this a little bit between CoinTools, so tools, protocols, and different pieces. And I do not use every single protocol, every single project within the Zen ecosystem. So I am by no sense in any way, shape, or form an expert. I just like to do dumb things. And so I click on a lot of buttons and read a lot of things, and spend my nights reading white papers, because that's what I do. I don't know why. So from CoinTools, we started to see batch minting. And so now we have what everyone was calling vanilla minting, where you're just managing one wallet at one time, to batch minting, to where people had control of 100,000 wallets. One of the things that this sort of did is it hid the true amount of users. If one user could control thousands of wallets, and 1,000 wallets are created on chain, how many users were there truly? And so one of the things that CoinTools quickly integrated within their piece is reusing the same wallets. So unless someone wanted to buy more, pay the gas fee to create more wallets, they could just reuse those empty wallets once they mined those tokens into existence. So it didn't close those accounts, which is a really cool and interesting idea. We're starting to see that being used in account sarcophagus issues, to where people are making sarcophagi out of wallets that are able to hold items for long periods of time without being lost. And so there's some really cool stuff coming up with this. We'll see more and more of it come out over the next 3 to 4 months. So if you think of account abstraction, just keep your eye on that. And there's some really cool things there. But what batch minting then led to was, and what a lot of people, a lot of ideas sort of came from in like the hex, icosa, hedron area, is, well, I no longer have a liquid position of my position. What happens if my wallet gets compromised? We were starting to get into that 1 year mark of being able to mint towards or wait days for. So it became really hard for people to wrap their head around, like, I have to be tied to this wallet for a minimum of a year, and I can't do anything else with Zen with it while it's mining per se or waiting. And so I could CoinTool batch mint. And so then the next thing that sort of came up was Zen NFTs. Zen NFTs brought about a liquid position of work, or a liquid position of waiting. And how it did that is Jack came up with the term called VMU, virtual minting or virtual mining unit. And so what that represented, you had one NFT that now was a batch minter in control of, depending on block size, depending on how much space was allowed in each block, the total amount of VMUs. I think in Ethereum, I think it's set at 55, if I remember right. Some chains are set at like 5, some have 250. And those have take up less economic power, less energy, which creates more Zen, but then also gives that Zen a lower price. And so we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But Zen NFTs was then allowed you to have a liquid position, so you could create as many Zen NFTs as you wanted. You could then have a lot of different options. You could then transfer those Zen NFTs, whether they were working for 1 day, 300 days. Now the cap is at 455 days, I think. And so you now have a liquid position. You can transfer to a safer wallet, to a cold wallet, and wait. You can sell that position now. You can trade it, or what we're now starting to see is we're starting to see protocols use these Zen NFTs, whether they have been claimed and redeemed or not. So there's some really cool stuff there on that aspect. And we'll talk about that when we get to it shortly, if we do. So if there's any questions or comments so far, please feel free to drop them, whether on YouTube or on Xenon. Do want to thank for as we talk about Zen. And so yeah, this is the fun part, the writing out things. So next up, after Zen NFTs, one of the next major projects that we saw launch was DBZen. And so DBZen and has a few different functions within it. And so what we saw within DBZen, we saw three aspects. Now that Zen NFTs was out, what had really started to take shape was the idea of X1. That really started to push forward of having a layer one or a new layer that all Zen sort of funnels into. And so what we started to see was the idea and shape and form of a test net come out. Well, if people wanted to work on this test net, they were going to need to get testnet tokens. So one of the things, the number one thing that Jack has, the only thing that Jack has to be part of the Zen ecosystem is that if something is burning, it has to use the Zen contract for that burn. And so there is a function within the Zen contract that triggers true destruction of those tokens. They're not burned, they are just completely destroyed. So in a way, you can sort of say that this is programmatic money, but it isn't in the aspect of it cannot be, the program can no longer be changed. It is what's called a revoked contract, meaning ownership of the contract has been sent to a dead wallet. This is the more, what is the word I'm thinking of? The classic move of, moving once you set something into play, you think this is a perpetual motion machine. It's all good. I don't need to change any of the tokenomics, any of the functions. And to prove that no one can now change any of those functions, it is then ownership is transferred to a dead wallet. In this case, the 0x0's wallet is now the owner. So that is not able to control anything. Technically, the idea is the current thought is the last wallet to ever be figured out, the hash key for will be the 0x00 wallet. And the reason why is because when a hashing algorithm is done, it is based on the amount of zeros that it comes up in the equation. And so the more zeros to proof of hash, it takes the most amount of work. And so we haven't gotten there yet. And so, one day we will. But to go back to DBZen, the whole point on it was burning Zen, because Zen is a hyperinflationary token for 8 years. We are now 1 year into this experiment. We now have one of the first major protocols that burns Zen. And by Zen is all about burning. It burns ETH, it burns Matic, it burns Evmos, Glimmer, Doge, ETH-POW, BNB, FTM, AVAX, OKX, and Pulse, PLS, on these main chains that it's on to create. So it's a burning gas. And so one of the biggest aspects it had is that it helped propel ETH into ultrasound money category because so much ETH was being burned for the Zen protocol. Now, DBZen, on its face value, it's burning Zen. You're paying a protocol fee, and you're going into, I call what other people have called either auctions or lobbies. I sort of call it King of the Hill. Who gets in last on top and wins the lion's share of the prize that day. The prize is DBZen. DBZen is distributed to everyone that burns Zen in a 24-hour cycle. Now, if you are on the East Coast, I think that cycle ends at roughly around 10 a.m. every day, if I remember right. It's either 9 or 10 a.m. every single day. And that cycle starts all over and rewards are distributed. And so what's really cool here is the idea behind it is really cool. The outcome of it doesn't always play right. And so very interesting to see. But what happens is people burn their Zen, and however much the reward for that day is always reduced by, I think DB Zen reward is reduced by 2% a day. It's either 1 or 2% per day, so the amount distributed goes out. And so the emission of DB Zen is then distributed between everyone that burns that day. So we'll see days where, some people may be earning 3 to 4 DB Zen, or a lion's share of that in those hundreds, because someone will always come in towards the last hour or so and just sort of burn a heck ton of Zen and just say, no, I'm on top. Now, what this does is, because it's all based on proportions, when they're proportionately doing 100 times more than the combined rest of the pool, they get 90% of the share, and then the rest is distributed within the other holders, burners for that day. So there are some mechanics there that I'm not a huge fan of, because it allows for, I guess you could say, that whale move. Because when you're able to drop in more than 10 times the entire amount of the pool, it does proportionately go that then around 95% of the distribution goes to one person. Yay them. What that doesn't do is that doesn't allow it to be distributed fairly, in the aspect of that the unfairness comes that someone put more economic energy into burning and creating or buying Zen on the open market than anyone else. And so that then makes the distribution unfair, because on the aspect of value holders. And so there is some distaste about that around the community, because what then happens is those people just straight dump DB Zen and pull from the liquidity. Liquidity wasn't created by any teams, but by communities. So people are acting as exit liquidity. We've seen DB Zen as high as in the 70s to 80s. Right now, it is trading around 3.25, I think. And so still great for a token that started at 0, by all means. Literally burning force. So hats off to that. Now, I do have some personal feelings about one of the founders, Razvan, and the way he's handled some of the things that has changed within the Zen ecosystem, or not necessarily changed, but solidified. So when he felt slighted, that DB Zen, which was burning so much Zen, wasn't given priority treatment, then sort of acted somewhat, in my eyes, like childish and feet stomping way. I'm going to take my ball and go home. And so that was quickly rectified on his part, because realizing that sort of alienated the Zen community from his project, and his project relied on the Zen community. The Zen community burned Zen to distribute rewards for DB Zen, which then, by people having DB Zen staked, allowed them to earn protocol fees, ETH, or whatever chain token, native token for whatever chain they were on. Now, the only chain right now that DB Zen is not working on is Pulse Chain. Can't wait for that to happen. That's my thing that I'm waiting for. So we'll see when that gets there. But one of the things that we want to see, that we now see coming out soon within DB Zen, DB Zen NFTs. And so what that is going to be doing is that is going to be creating yet a new token. I do not remember the name of the token off of my head, but it will be distributed between people that take their Zen NFTs, and then stake with a multiplier, and DB Zen will be that multiplier. So people will be taking out of their staking pool. So that will then distribute the protocol fees differently, to attach them to the Zen NFTs as amplifiers. Now, there are some cool aspects within the white papers for Zen NFTs. and DB Zen NFTs with DB Zen attached, that even Zen NFTs that have been claimed are eligible to participate in the DB Zen daily race, I guess you could say, with multipliers. Now, their power feature is different. It's going to be set at 1 compared to a power feature of a Zen NFT that has Zen on it, that is closer to mint, et cetera, et cetera. But the multiplication factor will come into play with the amount of DB Zen that is staked to it. So there could be some really weird game theory, and you know how much I dislike the word game theory, but that can be used in this to sort of play this out in different scenarios. So after DB Zen NFTs, the next big protocol that we saw launch was Phoenix. Now, if there was another protocol that happened, I know there was a couple games that started to come up and started to build up, a bunch of ideas. I haven't really seen them take off. There was a Xenomorph game that sort of came up for a minute. The idea, the concept was really cool. I liked it. I tried it out. It was very clunky, and so I think that user experience is everything. And so I think that that's might have been why that didn't take off, just because there wasn't clear direction on how to play the game. You know, my name is Player One Taco, so I have a ton of gaming experience. So it was somewhat intuitive to me, but also at the same time, it wasn't. So some clarity in that would have been great, and I think that that would have really helped it take off. Passively earn Zen and burn Zen at the same time. So what we saw with Phoenix, when Phoenix launched, we saw Phoenix burning Zen, which then created Phoenix. And then Phoenix did two things. It had staking, and it had distribution, and it had a double ghost mint. So if I burned 10,000 Zen, I got 10,000 Phoenix. But at the same time, it then minted an additional 10,000 Phoenix and distributed it into a rewards pool that's handed out every 13 weeks to those that are staking. One of the things that we did forget was Exlon. Exlon came out burning DB Zen, and so that was the interesting aspect there, where we then saw people burn DB Zen to get one of the first meme coins on Zen, and so I guess this is that was sort of fun for me. I participated in a bunch of memes and stuff like that just because I liked the creativity people were getting and creating in this, and people are having fun. One of the things that has started to happen sometime within the ecosystem is people are having a little less fun. And I want people to remember that this is 100% serious. This is economic theory at its finest, creating something from nothing. Oh, wait, isn't that thermodynamics? But that's sort of what we're doing. We're taking economic energy, we're taking value, something that has value, and then we're creating something that technically doesn't have any value. What the community then did is put value behind it. So now we're working on finding ways to expand the use case, the usability of it. Right now, it's just burn Zen, mint and burn it. Those are really your two options with Zen, or staking. You can stake within Zen NFTs or within the protocol itself as a vanilla stake. So one of the things that I know I'm working on right now is a educational piece on Zen over a 5-slide, pitch deck that is to explain Zen in child terms as quickly as possible, or just the highlight that's going to be getting shared with possibly over 500,000 different people that aren't currently in the Zen ecosystem. Some might be, possibly some aren't. So That's a really cool educational piece that I'm working on trying to happen. So it rewards, it's a system that rewards people to learn about blockchain and crypto. And so there will be a reward in it for people for taking that really quick educational piece. And who knows if that might drive more people into the Zen ecosystem. And so one of the biggest things that we see within Metcalfe's law of value increase isn't based on any one person putting in more money. It's based on more people having it. And so by more people having it, distribution, so distributed token amongst more people, it creates more value. More people have it, more people put in more money. It's rather have 1 million people that put in $1 than one person that put in $1 million. And so we'll see some really cool things happen out of that as that expands. One of the things that's really sort of helped get a lot of eyes on Zen is Zen being launched on different exchanges. All the major exchanges carry Zen, MEXC, KuCoin, Huobi, Bitmart, LBank, Hotbit did till Hotbit went under. Sorry, Hotbit. We'll miss you. It is being able to be tracked by things like DBank and different pricing oracles. But what's really cool is all of these tokens that the exchanges have came into existence the same way. They either minted them themselves or they bought them on the open market. So really interesting piece there. Really cool to see that move around. So burning DBZen got you Exelon. One of the side pieces from DBZen is an ETH or native token. We're just going to call this native token drip. So you get a share of the daily protocol fees based on the amount of DBZen that is staked. And so from DBZen, it's automatically staked after 24 hours. You can unstake it and then stake it into the side protocol piece that does the same thing. There have been reports that DBZen pays out more if it is been stays as a native stake rather than getting unstaked, claimed, and then staked again. I haven't seen that, but if you have, let me know in the comments. We're going to check comments real quick as we seem to have some. Oh, nope, that's just Mevbots. Sick and struggling to make ends meet. This Mevbot will get you there. Oh, man. Mevbot, you got me again. So we've covered a couple things so far. Now this is where things start to really pick up. Phoenix is into a 7777 total days max wait period if you choose to stake for that long and go for those rewards. There's also a claiming feature as well as oh my gosh, I forget the term. I'm gonna look it up. So as we look that up real quick, we're gonna just go stake, active stakes, connect the wallet. And Phoenix can be found at FENIX.FYI. And the founder is Joe Blau. He's done great work on talking with the community and deferred stakes. That is what I wanted to, that is what I was looking for. So we do have a couple things that are coming up. So that's sort of cool. We have one in, we have some Polygon Phoenix stakes coming up, which is really cool. We'll have to defer those and then put those back into the pool so we can keep earning Phoenix. Now, one of the big things that we see this is where we start to see a lot of projects start to raise their head. Xenon, and a handful of others. But what's really cool here, this is what I really like. And this is a sign of the brain, not the brains of the community, but the innovation of the community, is we start to see a bunch of analytic tools start to come up. And so we start to we see Zen Turbo coming out. We see Zen.pub, Zenmon. Now there's also Zen Squad, and I get Zen Crypto. These two I don't know. And then now as we see more tokens, and we'll get into these other tokens in a second, but bridging partners as well and other tools. Zentoshi blocks is all, and then we started to see BRC. So we then saw Zen Knights come out, and Zen Knights, and it was ordinals. And so inscriptions on Bitcoin, this is sort of where a really big push didn't start to happen to it, but where the idea that something interesting could happen here because the technology is so new. We're 7 months into ordinals and inscriptions. So really cool what we start to see here. So what we then see is within Zen NFTs, minting Zen, staking Zen, and Xenon. Bitcoin ordinals, we saw Zen Knights, and we saw BRC 20s for, VMPX, Buffy, Pussy, Zune, and Zuni as well. And then we saw the ERC20 version of VMPX, eVMPX. Now, once again, Jack has said from the beginning, Sun Tzu has said from the beginning, this is a proof of participation protocol. So, doesn't mean you have to go big or go home. You want to try one thing, do the minimum amount, see if that is something that there's a possibility for a return for you in this. My number one thing that I wish to remind people of, remember to take profits. If you're just feeding the beast continuously, then you're never taking anything out for you. If you're in that position, amazing, great, hats off to you. But even if you are, it is good habits to remember to take profit, because as long as you remember to take profit, you'll sort of take you'll put your brain into it a little bit more than just your heart. So from there, one of the things that we then saw, we also saw Zentoshi blocks, which is another BRC20. We saw Zenheads NFTs, which is another BRC20. And then we saw Zelon Mars and Vampires Club, and DB Zen NFTs is coming out. Phoenix, Zen Doge, and Zen Doge on Pulse as well. Now, one of the big ones that we see that just launched is TG Zen. Now, TG Zen had a couple features within it that I didn't like, that I didn't see at first either. And so I'd gotten really excited. I felt TG Zen was a sleeper in the Zen ecosystem coming out, that there was going to be a lot of potential there. Now, that potential sort of got diluted by the Grays ecosystem to sort of kickstart a little interest in their ecosystem. They're like, hey, let's do something with Zen. How do we do that? Well, you make a Zen product that burns Zen within the Zen burn contract feature, and you're part of the Zen ecosystem. Not that hard. Permissionless. What they did do was they slipped in a way that TG Zen, or TG, the Grays token, could be burned for the TG Zen token as well. So it was not just a Zen token, it was sort of a blend. Now that I'm thinking of it, like there could have been a couple different ways that this could have been done a little bit better. if it was community members that knew about Zen, that means that they had Zen on hand. So to get TG Zen, you would have then needed to burn both TG and Zen to get TG Zen. That would have taken the dilution effect off. That would have then also boosted TG's price a little bit by Zen friends or Zenians then having to buy a little bit of TG to also burn with their Zen to get TG Zen, so I guess mixed offspring, but then at the same time, it wasn't like that. And so a lot of it is talked about, but not put down on paper. And that was one of the, and where TG Zen was in the white paper was one tiny little blur sentence, half sentence at the almost end of the white paper. And that sort of is, buried. I missed it in the first two iterations of the white paper or light paper. And it wasn't until after the protocol had started that I was like, oh man, now sounds like I'm footing TG Zen. I am. I'll be honest. I feel a little deceived there. That is my own doing, my own making, but I also feel that it could have been done better. Where my hat goes off to TG Zen, aka Hayden, who runs the account, is that he is always willing to hop on a space if he's not at work, or even if he is, and answers questions. I feel like he was sort of put between a little bit of a rock and a hard place to where he's into Zen, he's also into TG. He had to figure out a way to sort of meet the needs of his community and meet the needs of the Zen community. He did it the best way he thought possible at the time. Me and him have talked a bunch of times, and the fact that he keeps talking falls into the and carries a consistent message, and he owns it. He's like, yeah, I you know what, I could have done this better. I didn't think of this and this at that time. Well, that I appreciate that. I'll be simple. Number one thing, the thing that got me into blockchain over a decade ago was transparency and consistency. Hayden has kept that mark so far of being transparent and being consistent. And so I think that there's some interesting pieces within TG Zen that might allow for the sleeper to sort of happen, I guess you could say. What we also, excuse me. Who knew I could talk for an hour straight? Oh, wait, I've done that a few times. I apologize. But what we now see is we have Zen Game, Zen Garbage Dump, Xenify, Zen Universe, ZXN Protocol, and Zenflix, as well as now Wham Games starting to join, getting ready to join the ecosystems. So these are the people that have made it so far. And this is what we have coming up. What I really want people to understand is that we have a long way to go. You got to remember, Jack made this token to be a hyperinflationary token for 8 years, and we are 1 year into that. So anyone who came in thinking, if I have an 8-year plan for it to get off the ground, if anyone thought that they were going to come in and hit that 100x within that first 30 days, like any pump coin or pump and dump, that has not been the case. Are people in profit? Yes, that is also the case. And what we have found, let me pull that up real quick. So this is what we have come up with as our current, how many tokens are needed for getting into profit. And now this is just the bare minimum to get right over profit, roughly by a few dollars or so. We can sort of see what that looks like. So if you're doing a Zenpub and Zen Turbo can give you Zen estimates. So I've set this at how much GUI is needed, or what the GUI is at. to give you an idea of how much economic power that is. And so this will be a mint / claim cost total. So now we can sort of see what that looks like. And I apologize for the sound. If people are hearing a helicopter in the background, I am in New York, and I am about 3 blocks away from a huge tower. Oh my gosh. Tower crane has caught fire. They've had to shut down the street and stuff. And so it is a 5-alarm fire. So who knows? I don't think we'll get evacuated. Never know. But yeah, so sorry if that's in the background. That is what that is. But on the side piece of that, so we can see here that what I didn't do is I didn't set out the amount of days that it takes, and because I want you to do your own research, you can go about and seeing. But what it does show is to get into Mint, how many tokens and at what native price ETH is at, and what is the token Zen price at as well. And so that sort of gives you that breakdown of between the two. Native price and Gwei lets you know that what the Mint claim total is, but also gives you the price of Zen on that. And so you can sort of see it's going to cost you roughly $45 for a Mint claim total at 50 Gwei. That's roughly 37.2 million Zen. 44 million Zen is needed with BSC. 13 million Zen is needed with Matic. 14 million is needed with AVAX. 9.7 million is needed with Moonbeam. 8.2 million is needed with EVMOS. 42 million is needed with FTM. 2,000 is needed with Dogechain. Well, 2,300. And 68 million is needed with OKC, and 2.9 million Zen is needed with PLS to cover Mint claim. And so anything above that is profit at current prices. So know that that is sort of what that looks like. And we'll put this out there so you can sort of see. And this was done roughly 8 days ago. Prices. So as always, markets move. So that's sort of one of the things that we wanted to sort of cover there. But that's sort of what's going on right now in the Zen ecosystem. What now is on the future is what we see within X1, what we see within now some AI stuff, use cases for Zen, and other protocols that are coming up. I just wanted to cover active protocols. And so if I missed one, please let me know. Please let me know if there's a token out there that I missed. I think I didn't cover Xenon. And so here are the things that are coming up. Burn receipt records, burned NFTs. So basically receipts for burning. What that does is right now it's tied to a wallet address. If you have an NFT of a burn receipt, you could then sell that burn receipt. Don't know if you thought about that one. So you can put in the effort, you can put in the work, but if there's a greater reward for that at the end of the rainbow, it might be worth more to someone else if you're in a position where you need more money now. And so we see that in a couple different aspects. Having receipt of record, an NFT receipt of record, allows you to have a liquid position, move it for your own safety to a cold wallet, move it to a multi-sig wallet, or put it on open market for sale. What we then also see is some really cool stuff within the Zen ecosystem of what's the word I'm thinking of? Different ways that people think of using this. So there could be some really cool pieces within that. So But having a physical burn receipt sort of gives that peace of mind to people. If I can see it, I can hold it, I can own it, it is mine. Where if it is a record that is stored on chain, people can't necessarily see that. And so it feels less tangible, less ownership feeling involved in that, though it is still there on chain. And so we're gonna see some really cool stuff come out of that, I think. It's interesting to see what comes up with DBZen NFTs, and how the DBZen protocol changes within that. Will you burn for that? That is what I would like to know. And so, one, I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. Next thing that I really wanted to sort of cover, and I'm going to go over this quickly, is Venom Network and Venom ecosystem, because the Venom ecosystem is an EVM chain. Venom eco. There we go. So the Venom ecosystem is really pushing forward some new things within the EVM world, and they're building some cool stuff. You can find them on their on Zeely. They do have testnet pieces there available. So really cool to see that go forward. And so hit up Zeely, hit up the Venom ecosystem. They have testnet. They have a really cool Venom wallet that is live, and highly incentivizing people to use and learn what they're doing. They have a $1 billion ecosystem grant fund. So if you're looking to build something, there is money available to support that build. If you need help with that, please feel free to reach out anytime. But one thing within the Venom ecosystem is this is one of those things where participation, these are the new burn, these are the new hot button words. Proof of participation over possible Sybil participation. And so we see this really big the other day with WorldCoin launching as well. Will you get your eye scanned? There's some interesting stuff within that. The tech seems really cool to me. Some of the ideas within it seem scary till you look at what the tech actually does. And so as I get more documentation on that, I do want to do a little bit of piece on that orb. But really the idea is proof of human, not proof of identity. And so, if you're a wallet transacting that on a chain that is proved that you are a human, then that might be in consideration for higher rewards and incentivizations than a wallet that is not proved that it is not a human, that it is a human. And so there's some cool stuff there. I'm excited to see what it looks like, or I could be completely wrong and it could be the end is nigh, And so, but what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Next time we'll put out a poll on that as we have some more information on WorldCoin. And so, but please check out Venom and Venom ecosystem. Really pushing forward some really cool stuff. Like the ideas behind a lot of it. And so they have started some really cool stuff. And really interesting to see what comes down and what comes out of that. Now, how do you learn more? There's some amazing people in the Zen ecosystem. Jack Levin, Sensu, aka Akebom, that are sort of the front faces of Zen. There are a ton of Zen content creators, spaces. My only suggestion to you, don't be in this for entertainment factor. You're either in it or you're out. If you're in it to just sort of watch, cool. if you're participating, my suggestion comes from finding and following the builders and those that are promoting growth, ecosystems and people and places that sort of look to burn things. My question is, if you don't like something, why are you still in it? The obvious answer is they want to turn other people off from it so that they hopefully dump their stuff so that they get a better position, because they remember that this is an 8-year experiment, and the experiment is only that minting is going to happen for 8 years. And so we might see that change. And, I hope that you support other positive people that are bringing, that you see have value and building things up within the Zen ecosystem. And so my piece on that is, if you drag people through the mud, you end up getting mud on yourself. If you play in the mud, you're covered in it. So, how much mud do you want in your house? I guess that's the question. And thinking you're just going to be an innocent bystander. I saw someone attacked the other day, which was not cool in the slightest, and I had to sort of step up between that, and that's just not. It's not the idea. That's not what we're built out. So, no preachy. I apologize, but I do want everyone to know that there's over 10,000 people actively participating in Zen around the world, and all they had to do was wait, and so you can be part of the Zen ecosystem too. One of these times we'll go through and show you how to Zen mint. Actually, we'll do that right now, as we still have a few moments. So, and we'll show you on one of our favorite chains, Moonbeam. Why do we whisper these things? Because we want people to get into their subconscious that we want Avalanche and Moonbeam to sort of come into play. And so what we will show here is there's obviously two pieces here. You can, from zen.networks/Moonbeam, you can mint, which is what's called the vanilla mint, or you can Zen NFT, and we can show you how quickly a max term mint can happen for, and we'll show you what that gets. So max mint is VMUs of virtual minting units is 55. Max term is 465 days on Moonbeam. Now, there's different forms of NFTs within the Zen NFT ecosystem. Apexes have to burn a certain amount of Zen. So you have to burn 10 billion Zen to create an Apex. And same thing with the limited, you have to burn 250 million. Or collector, you don't have to burn any Zen, you can just create it. But then it gives you different color categories based on that. So we are doing a max day of 465, 55 VMUs, and we are creating this on Moonbeam, and we'll show you sort of how quickly it takes for this to come into effect and how much that costs and what that expected Zen payout is. So it's going to cost 35 cents. And we'll go back to our spreadsheet just to sort of show you if one mint on Moonbeam costs 7 cents, and 55 VMUs is going to cost roughly 70 cents. So we're doing a big change in that. So 9.7 million to get even for 7 cents. So that means, let's see here. We need our calculator real quick. Um, 970739 divided by 0.07. All right. Oh, wait, no, not divide. I apologize. I did that wrong. 9707391 times 0.07. So for every cent, it's roughly 679,000 Zen. So we are now going to times that by 36, if I remember right. And so we're going to need to mint a minimum of roughly 24 million, 24.5 million Zen to get into profit. And so we minted our Zen NFT, and we're going to find it real quick right here. And that's going to make roughly 69 million Zen. So in profit, that will roughly triple the amount that was put in at current prices. So some cool stuff there to think about. But that is how quickly you can join the Zen ecosystem. So if you like this video at all, or you want to learn more, please like, subscribe, comment, retweet, share, all of the aboves. I want to thank you for joining us today. And we're going to end, as we end every space, the same way that we've ended all 342 episodes, with our words of wisdom and the worst, best knock-knock joke on the face of the planet. And so, as always, our words of wisdom are: a closed mouth cannot be fed, and you cannot feed a closed mouth, meaning if no one knows you are looking for opportunity, opportunity cannot come a knocking. And if opportunity does come a knocking and no one answers, it's going to keep on walking. You never know what's going to happen when you ask. You exponentially raise your chances of a yes just by asking, because if you don't ask, your answer is always going to be no. And so we end with the greatest, worst knock-knock joke on the face of the planet. And we do this directly out of love and caring, and out of respect for those that have come behind us and those that will come before us, and those that come after us. And so, thank you everyone for joining today. We will see you tomorrow. But knock, knock. Who's there?